Show us your swing, Sean. Good stuff, man. Check this out. A lot of good there. I'm sure you hit tons of good shots. I want to give you a couple things to consider here. The first, I get your feet a little wider. Feet are a little narrow. So decrease this amount of side bend, okay? I'd get it just a little bit more, say up in here. So we'll get the feet a little wider, not quite as much side bend to the right. Now you make a good turn in the upper body. If you watch this here, you can see the left shoulder making it all the way back behind the ball. Good structure in the arms. A lot of good stuff right there. One thing I'm going to recommend is we're going to get this right hip to draw a little bit more kind of up and back behind you, maybe losing a little flexion in that knee. And I think that'll be a little easier to do once you clean up those setup positions there, okay? So we'll get feet wider. We'll get the right hip working just a little bit more up behind you. And I think with a little less side bend at address, that'll really make your backswing in a good spot. You do a lot of good things there, man, to the top. Now, coming down, you know, you're kind of a player. Looks like you have good weight shift there into the lead side. You have some shaft lean. Check that out. Really good. And then you do a nice job rotating through to the finished position. And I think you'll even be able to rotate a little bit better once we get that right hip in a better position at the top. And I'll show you just one little thing here coming down where you get a little better spacing between your knees, kind of in here. We'll get your knees a little better spacing where you can rotate a little bit freer through the impact zone. So all this works together. I think there'll be nice little upgrades to what is already a really nice golf swing. All right, Sean, thanks so much. Show us your swing. Lots of good things happening in your golf swing. And really what I want to pass along to you, I think, is a couple things at address, and then a little bit about the trail knee. Now, the first thing is when you set up, I would get your feet to be a little bit wider and then let your feet flare just a little bit. Okay, so this back foot, let it flare maybe 10 degrees, front foot, let it flare maybe 20 degrees. Okay, so the feet kind of flare out a little bit like that with them a bit wider. Now, I would be a little more conservative with your side bend. Okay, so your side bend to the right, make that a little more subtle. Okay, not so much where you're like this, okay, but just boom. So the spine goes just a little right, pelvis just a touch left, and then that's all you need in the setup position. Now, from there, I'd like to see you let that right knee lose a little flexion. Let this right hip kind of draw a little bit more up like this and back. And the right knee will lose some flexion. I think for you, it looks like there's a lot of flexion kind of down in there, and then maybe get a little bit loose from time to time or a little bit lateral from time to time in the lower body. So with that subtle tilt, then really turn that right hip kind of up behind you, and you'll feel like as you do that, you'll feel that right leg kind of straightening up, right? Like you're recruiting more up, and then the right side of that pelvis will be just a little bit higher than that of your left. Now, coming down, what can happen in doing that is as you're up here, then you can kind of really settle down the knee a bit as you transition. Watch how I kind of fall into my lead side, and then I get good space between my knees. As you keep flexion in your knee and your backswing, and you're kind of down here, the tendency is then we want to launch off of that, right? So you can see how my knees are close together, and I really launch forward. As I turn and let my right leg kind of straighten up, now I can feel like I sit a little bit, and I get space in here. It almost feels like your knees go in opposite directions. That's what it feels like. Okay, you can see I have some stability here as now this is opening up. Okay, left knee, left hip, opening up, not launching. Okay, so work on those movements. Do it at home, and you don't even need a club. Just get in there. Just act like you're, put your hands together here, and just turn right leg up. Right, and then sit it down. Up, and then sit it down. And you get good space in here, right? You see that drill a lot with a ball, like a beach ball between here, and then you let that ball go, right? About probably like 2 weeks ago on my Instagram page, you'll see me there with a ball between my knees, and I just do that. I just let the ball go in transition. You should go back and look at that, because that's the sensation coming down. But I add a little bit of that backswing work. I'd make those couple setup adjustments, and I think you're well on your way. Thanks so much. Show us your swing, work on that. Expect an update in about a month.